Hi Year 11. Today we are going to look at answering our first exam question, and we're going to learn the technique that we use for every single exam question that we answer throughout the year and also when it comes to your HSC. So the question we're looking at today is outline how poor emotional health can affect your social, spiritual and physical health. Now, the first thing you need to identify when you answer a question is this a dot point or is it a dash point? Now, you can see from the syllabus that it falls under the first dot point meaning of health, but it's asking us on a selected area of the syllabus, which is the dimensions of health. And those are physical, social, spiritual, and emotional, all which are in the question. It's not asking us on any of the right-hand side. It's solely asking us on the dimensions of health and how they interlink. So the method that you use to answer a question is a method called KEL. And we use this every single time. And the acronym stands for keyword, examples, and link. So if we look at the question, I have color-coded the different areas. The outline is a key word. Now, you've been given a list of key terms and you must address those key terms when you answer a question. If you look at your key terms, outline is indicate the main features. So we are looking at emotional health and the impact it can have on social, spiritual, and physical health. We must make sure we include all four dimensions because that is what the question is asking you on, and that's selected part of the syllabus. Example is the actual body of a question, and that links to the dot or dash points. And for this question, it's the dimensions of health. The last section is the L, which is the link. Okay, this is the link back to the question and the syllabus. You also need to be aware of how many marks the question is worth, because if this question was worth 8 marks, you would need to extend your answer and make sure you have a number of examples. But as this is only 3 marks and it is an outline, we are briefly touching on all the dimensions of health. I've color-coded the answer for you and I'm going to explain how we would approach this question. So first of all, what we need to do is actually answer the question in the first sentence and address the question. So what I've done here is I've put our emotional health refers to our ability to cope with stress, work productively, and contribute to the community. This is defining what emotional health is. This is straight from your notes. And you're also telling the examiner you know exactly what the definition is. And you already have defined emotional health. After this, you are then stating that there are 4 dimensions of health. Again, you're showing the examiner that you know that these fall under the dash point dimensions of health, which are emotional, social, spiritual, and physical health. So I've put there are 4 dimensions of health that interact to form our overall level of health. Remember, in our notes, we state that they all impact each other, and this is what the question is based on. I've then moved on to stating a link back to emotional health. And again, before you get into your examples, telling the examiner that the individual who has poor emotional health, it can negatively impact their physical health and other areas. So here I'm going to start to address the question and I'm going to move on to my examples. So first of all, I'm going to link emotional to physical health. So I've put if an individual has poor emotional health, it could negatively impact on an individual's physical health, which is a link back to the question and the dash point, and then I've given an example. For an example, an individual could take less care of themselves when it comes to eating enough nutritious foods due to an eating disorder, therefore negatively impacting their physical health. So I've given my example and I've linked it back to the syllabus and the question, which is asking us the impact and the negative impact on emotional health to the other dimensions. I then move on to my second link. Poor emotional health could negatively affect an individual's social health. For example, if someone is feeling depressed, they would avoid leaving the house and interacting with others. I've linked it back to what the question is asking, linking to the L in the KEL strategy, and then I've given my example. The last one that I need to link emotional health to is spiritual health, and I've done that in the last few sentences. Finally, an individual with poor emotional health would have a negative outlook on life and may feel they have no purpose. They may also become disconnected with those around them. This is my example of spiritual health, and you can see within that there's a definition. This would negatively impact on their level of spiritual health. So again, linking back to what the question has asked you. This structure is what we use every time. And you will find students will make notes on the question before they even answer it. So when you first look at this question, you notice it's an outline. You write on the top of your question, outline, and then what an outline means, which is indicate the main features. You would actually write that above the word, okay? Because you're creating a mind map first before you address the question. Then you move on and look at, well, it's asking me on emotional health, social, spiritual, and physical health. So you identify that they are the 4 dimensions, and it's asking you to link social, spiritual, and physical health back to emotional. So you would write at the top of your question, these are the dimensions of health, and it is only a dash point. It's important that you read the question a number of times before you actually answer it, so you know exactly what you're writing about, and then follow my structure, okay, of answering in the first sentence and defining the body of the question, which is on emotional health, and then addressing the question by giving your examples and your link back to the syllabus.